the only viewer anyways, so.
Huh?
I was the only viewer for that conversation anyways.
I'm well aware. That's too big. Come on. Why are you in his chair? You know you're going to get in trouble the second he wakes up. I'm going to kick you out of the chair, and you're going to be all pissy, and then you're going to come over to my chair and start scratching it up again.
Well, bring her over here.
She doesn't want to be over here. There's too much light.
I demand background test.
I don't care what you demand. You can demand it till you're blue in the face. You don't get what you want.
Ah, here we go.
Statue of Road Warrior. Here we go. What?
I remember we were discussing hyperspace travel,
Yeah.
and I found in the West End Games rulebook the astrogation gazetteer, or however gazetteer is pronounced. But it says like Alderaan to Bespin, 8 hours. Alderaan to Corellia, 6 hours. Alderaan to Coruscant, 16 hours.
Okay.
But it's got about 12 systems with the travel times between each of the systems.
Right, but Alderaan to any
So
of
like
those, that's core world to core world, right?
Bespin's not a core world. Like Alderaan to Sullust is 8 days, 21 hours. Alderaan to Tatooine, by chance, is 7 hours.
I
But
think
it gives you basic.
I think that system's out of date.
Like, I'm not sure. I'd have to compare it to the map to see if there's any accuracy at all. Because
Probably.
of course, at the time of the writing of this book, there wasn't this West End Games role playing system came up with most of the planets of the Star Wars universe.
Right.
Because this was back before there was a canon. And we're just starting to, just starting to even think about that when they wrote the West End Games role playing system.
Right.
All right, let me see if I can find another chart.
Fucking red hairs.
Spacer documentation. Starship operating license. Captain's accreditations license. Arms loadout permits.
what?
Alright. The first thing you need to do is get a printed picture of the galaxy of your own. You don't necessarily have to print anything anymore. Once you have, what you need to take a ruler and measure the galaxy from one side to the other. Not necessarily do it, but you get a measurement of the galaxy, okay?
Okay.
And then write down the exact inches on a piece of paper. We'll call that number X. And here's the formula from light years to inches: 120,000 light years per inch per X.
Okay.
So you know that. So you could look at the map and figure out how far it is between two planets, and then a Type 1 hyperdrive moves about 11,415 light years in an hour. You divide the number of light years by the speed, and then you take into consideration a modifier for star density. Thus, moving through the core or even shorter distances take longer because of star density.
Right.
And you figure out your travel time.
That's a lot of work.
Yikes.
Not if I simplify it onto an Excel sheet, though. I can have it do all the math.
True.
We just need a map for it. We just need how do you want to read them? What do you want X to be on the map you use? That's the only thing we need to determine.
Okay.
Because we're obviously not going to put a ruler up on the computer screen or print a copy. We can just decide that each square is so long, you know.
Well, so each grid reference is generally about an inch on paper. So you count out the grid. You look at the grid references in each on the map. So like I think it goes all the way to like M or O.
I think so, yeah.
And so, well, I mean, I have one.
Well, no, you can, I don't want to stop you from doing
Oh, dude,
your artwork.
it's fine. It's fine, dude. I mean, this is all part of it.
Actually, it goes through W and 1 through 21.
Balin, why would you even fucking post that? That is, you post that into a channel, into a Discord group with nerds and mathematicians in it, and you want to no, you are causing problems, sir. Just saying. All right, let's go up to the pinned. Open link because yes. I can't see anything. Zoom. So it goes all the way to W and all the way to what? 21.
Yeah, so if you look at the top of the map, in the L quadrant, you have Belkaden, which is the farthest out planet.
Right.
The next closest planet is Helska.
Yeah.
Those are roughly about 1 block apart. Roughly.
Right.
Okay. So by what he's saying, that's roughly 120,000 light years.
Okay.
Considering I don't have any way to understand exactly how big 120,000 light years as a person is,
Right.
that's a size so far beyond us that you can't conceive of it.
Right.
But he says that you cover, let's say, 11.5 thousand light years. 11,000 light years, 11,500 light years an hour. So that's going to take about a 12-hour trip if I'm roughly. That sounds like too much.
No, you said it's approximately. Hold on.
10.5 hours.
Yeah. Okay. So that's not unreasonable to me. Okay. So it's 10.5 hours, right?
Yeah, then if that number sounds reasonable, the only thing you'll have to do as a game master is when planets are within the same grid, is you'll have to say, okay, this is 0.5 inches or whatever. And then there are modifiers depending on which section of the galaxy you're going through because of star density.
Right.
And this map has them all conveniently labeled. Deep core, colonies, inner rim, expansion, mid rim, outer rim.
Okay.
All right, so I think we could work with this for getting our hyperspace times.
All right. Well, then how about you go ahead and start working that Excel,
Yeah, you can get that done.
and while I continue working on this map. I almost feel like I'm making you do the harder job.
I love doing stuff like this.
Boy, Watcher, I am about to drop kick you out of your bed, bro. That damn alarm is so fucking annoying.
You need is to make it, like, put a little miniature EMP on the outside of his door so it just gets his into the house.
Yeah. Well, it's like he set that alarm specifically because it's annoying. He's like, that way it'll guarantee that I wake up. And he sleeps through it anyways. It's like, to me, that kind of defeats the purpose of setting the alarm. And I mean, I know everybody sleeps through their alarms. I get it. Shit happens. Ugh. I need to get your brother over here to help me do these maps. I'm sure that's something he would enjoy, right?
Yeah. Well, it sounds like one Saturday, like, get you, actually bring you over to his place, because he's got that huge table and all the art
I
supplies.
know. That'd be like perfect to work on this shit. Maybe this week.
Well, that's something I can arrange. So.
Huh?
Stuff my house.
Well, then why'd you offer, Scout?
Why
get my hopes up like
that? Would
that?
be the ideal, and you instantly recognize my idea as being correct.
Yeah, well then why get my hopes up like that though?
Just timing and comedy is everything.
I'm going to hurt you.
You keep threatening that.
Your character will suffer. Granted, you're in a party with Watcher and Cerberus, so I'm sure your character suffers greatly as is. and we're about to get Nighthawk back in the group. So he's going to suffer
you know,
even more.
there was a temptation
Who
to
knows?
just when the ship's ready to take off, she's just not there. After the dressing down Horn gave her.
Huh?
After the dressing down Horn gave her.
No, okay, so, that's actually a valid thing that I wanted to talk to you about. Game Master to player. How does Kaya feel about what's going on now? I mean, she's all of a sudden been bombarded with a gratuitous amount of information in regards to the Jedi Order, the Galactic Empire, Senator Palpatine becoming the Emperor, the disappearance of one of the greatest heroes in the Galactic Republic, Anakin Skywalker, and the emergence of one of the greatest heroes of the Galactic Empire, Vader. It's a lot of information that your character took in the span of a week, less than a week.
Yeah.
Well,
you have to start with the consideration that unlike Horn or Chris or even Gatal or Boz, is that because of the events at the execution of Order 66 that she experienced, because of her transference into the droid, her connection to the Force was weakened in that.
Yeah.
So that at the moment that Yoda felt the death of every Jedi across the galaxy, and all the other Jedi would have, any of the other surviving Jedi would have felt that she didn't.
Right. Right. No.
And so she, so all this information comes in. She's going to just basically have to start searching for the truth of the matter, because she knows she can't believe the stuff that she finds on the public systems. It's all propaganda. There's a level of propaganda to it that's always there on government news systems.
Right.
I mean, some of it's probably true, some of it's probably not. So she needs to speak to people who are there, which means a conversation with Chris.
Right.
But she didn't want to have that conversation because of the way Horn talked to her. She got the idea that even if it was not on a conscious level, on a subconscious level, he wanted the ship off the planet.
Well, and to enlighten you, you're not wrong. There are, at that point, there were two members, full-on members of the Jedi Order on Nar Shaddaa. You had Horn, and you had Kanan, albeit, Kanan was still, he was on the cusp of becoming a knight, but he was still a Padawan. And to be honest, Kanan probably suffered far worse than Horn did, in the sense that Kanan's escape from the Coruscant Temple, it was a harrowing experience for him, but Horn understands the threat. He can see things on a wider scale, and
Well, he had continuous training.
Right.
Even after the Order, well, he was a fully trained knight when the Order fell, so.
Who, Horn? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He was a fully trained knight, and that's what I mean by and that's what I mean by Horn having a better understanding on the scale of the situation, and he understands how much of a threat to extremely force sensitive people being on one planet can be. Yeah, Nar Shaddaa is huge, and Nar Shaddaa's got a lot of populace on it, and it's very easy to blend in. But who's to say that, well, I mean, you've seen Chris's fucking powers list. He does not have force camouflage, you know. So he doesn't control his force presence to that degree. He can't like shut it off. He can focus it, and like any other Jedi can focus it and make it smaller, but he can't shut it off like what force camouflage does. And Hal, being a full-on Jedi Knight, he probably does have that power. He probably did learn that ability, especially the fact that he blends in so well with Corsac. So, yeah, he wanted y'all gone. Y'all were creating a high-risk situation for him. And I can only imagine how much that must have hurt Kaya to finally come in contact with members of the Order and to be shunned by it, Like, I mean, even Chris, to a degree, has shunned Kaya. And not in the sense that, once her gone, wants nothing to do with her, but he doesn't feel comfortable having her around because she was there for it. And he doesn't realize that she doesn't remember any of it, And I think that might change things. That might change his perspective if he ever finds out. But Kaya, it's Kaya's in a very unique situation now because of all of this.
Yeah, so there's got to be a conversation with Chris. And I mean, there is a chance that if the party continues on a more non-light side approach to things, that she'd walk away.
Right.
I mean, now, she's not expecting them to become a new Jedi Order anymore, but she cannot condone, wanton destruction for.
She's not expecting them to become a new Jedi Order, not anymore, until she walks in on fucking Chris training Gatal.
That wouldn't bother her, per se, but like if she finds out he is training Gatal, and Gatal continues to do everything by thermal detonator in public, it's one thing to do it when you're invading an Imperial base, it's another thing to do it when you're in a public building.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The use of force, it has its place. But continued use of force once you realize, understand it's wrong. There's lots of possible arcs to that story.
Correct.
And she also knows the universe is not the ideal that that life in the temple was. She's had enough
real world experience,
to understand that there's things that it's much more complicated.
Right.
But the other thing is all that experience is in Corellian high society.
True.
So there's also a limiting factor there.
And there is truth to that as well. So as a player, do you feel that this is going to hurt or help develop your character?
No, it's well. I always see it as helpful, especially for the challenge of the role-playing aspects, as to how does the character deal with this. I don't have any problems working on that. Considering that how that plays out with the character.
Right.
Now, it's like when you say, see, I don't see any way it hurts because it's all decisions based on. It's all based on my decisions ultimately.
Right.
So it's as a player, it's not going to hurt me. It's just storytelling. Now, whether it hurts the character that is possible. She comes in and finds Chris selling an ancient holocron for money when it could be used for education of the people immediately around him. That is going to get, like the first time, that's going to get a argument. The second time, it might
result in a fight.
Yeah, especially if it's something that the group has recovered as a group effort, as opposed to him recovering on his own.
Well, so Kaya doesn't know about the holocron that Chris possesses. Hell, even Bond doesn't know about the holocron that Chris possesses.
Yeah.
Currently, the only party member that knows about it is Gatal.
Yeah.
How do you perceive Kaya reacting to the discovery of that information, that Chris was willing to allow someone who has no real concept of what the Jedi Order is to study from that holocron? When, especially since Chris has already made it very apparent that he knows you, or at least knows of you, knows the name, knows the face.
There would be a little disappointment. And at this point, though, that there would be a little allowance because a higher ranking member of the Order has the right to make those decisions. Still in her mind.
Right. That even though the Order is gone,
there's still a lingering
hierarchy to it.
Yeah. Not that she's going to follow his orders.
I think the only time that Chris will ever expect her to follow his orders is in regard to the safety of his ship.
Yeah, in which case, you understand that.
Yeah, you don't follow my orders on my ship, I'll fucking vent your ass out the goddamn airlock, right?
Well, it depends. If we're cruising through space and you're telling me to do something menial, I'm not going to. I might, tell you no. But during combat, it's a different matter.
Well, I don't think there's ever going to come a point where menial is going to be a thing.
Yeah, but
no, I understand what you're saying. I get what you're where you're coming from on that. That depending on the situation would depend on how she would react, and that's understandable. That would be like Chris looking at Bond and telling Bond to get out of the pilot seat. Your skills are more useful elsewhere. See, what the fuck's wrong with you? You hired me to be the pilot. Fuck off.
Yeah. Now, if the situation goes on a darker path where she finds he's selling off these relics and mistrust grows, it could come to a point during combat where she's like, no, I disagree. That is not the right course of action, and I will not do it. blowing up a ship of refugees or something like that.
Right. So that does bring to question, what has Chris been doing to survive these last 10 years?
That's why she doesn't trust him. She doesn't trust him fully because why is it, yeah, it's just there's a lot of questions.
Especially
So
now
why
that
somebody who had full access to the Force.
Continue.
I was trying to think of how to describe it. Because her situation, for a good long time, she didn't have access to the Force, and she was just basically presented with a situation that was presented survival, so she took it.
Right.
Why is he, who does have full access to his abilities, why is he spending his time in pursuit of money? And not just, making a living, shipping stuff. But he's specifically pursuing Jedi relics to sell because they make a lot of money. But because he's sort of using his abilities with the Force to tomb raid.
That's what that's how she sees it.
That's what she thinks might be going on. She hasn't actually seen it happen.
Well, no, I'm saying that's how she views it. Is that he's been using
the information that when they initially talked, yeah.
That's interesting.
Tomb raiding's maybe not the exact word for it, but I think it gets across the idea.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Relic hunting would probably be the better word, but it's his own. It's not like he's hunting down for archaeology relics of the ancient species on Rishi, or looking for Gree relics. He's looking for the organization he was a part of,
right,
and not for the good of the organization. It's not on the surface.
Oh man, I can't wait for the big reveals. This is going to be interesting.
That's why I'm enjoying this.
So, not to segue off, Mouse is talking about running a campaign when he moves back home, and is looking for players. I told him you may be interested in such a thing.
I'll be 1 second on answering that.
Oh, okay.
I'm listening to something.
Nope, you're good.
Is anybody accepting virtual players?
No, he's doing all in person.
If I'm ever going to get better at it, I need to actually participate
True.
in the campaign.
As true as that statement is, it's not easy to run campaigns like this online. And this is a pretty extensive campaign. Scout Watcher and I tried to run one, that involved maps and things like that, and that got really complicated really fast. D&D in general is one of those games that it's kind of it really is a lot better in person than it's hard to kind of explain it like that. It's because it's kind of harsh, but it's better in person than over the internet because as players and as a game master, you can judge how the game is being perceived and taken through the reactions of your players, and you can't really do that online.
Now, I'm back. First thing is, yes, I would be interested in.
Okay. And this won't be for a while, so Mouse doesn't come home until April, I believe.
Game Master, don't mind doing it online.
Huh?
As a game master, I don't mind running games online, running like parties online.
I
It
found
takes, hold on. It takes a bit more preparation, and you're not as free to deal with unexpected outcomes. When, especially in situations where you're dealing with maps and such. Now, as far as seeing players' reactions, the prevalence of webcams now
Yeah, true.
does allow, and most of the sites like Roll20 allow you to everybody to feed their webcam view onto the Roll20 page so that everybody can see everybody else. So it's not as good as in person because in person, let's say, Amy, that I tell, if I'm a game master, I tell everybody I need you to make an insight check with advantage. In person, as a new player, you could just lean over to the person next to you and say, I'm not sure on exactly what I do with that, and that person right next to you can help you without interrupting the whole flow of the conversation with everybody. Online, because everybody has to speak into the same, you can't like whisper to somebody else online without everybody else hearing it. So things like that can be slowed down, but it does not make it impossible or impractical to do that online either.
True, and I'm not saying it's impossible or impractical. I'm just, as a game master, I find it a little more complex dealing with the things online. Like we ran into a few of the issues in regards to trying to run, what was that module I tried to run? Horde of the Dragon Queen?
Yeah, I think that was the one.
It was the hardcore game?
Kira.
Yeah. Kira, Brother Orgoth, and Fonz.
Yeah.
That campaign was...
Our Happy Days group.
Yeah. Our Happy Days meets WWE.
Yeah, basically, that's what...
But then again, one of the biggest problems I had running that one is I was in charge of so many characters to make that party work.
Yeah, you do run into a problem, Mimi, with to really run a proper group, you need at least 3 player characters. 2 player characters, even if they're running even if they're controlling 2 characters each, it's still... It's better if you have between 5 and 6 total people, including the GM. Beyond 7 gets a a bit unruly for the GM to try to keep everybody involved, but that's one thing if you're doing it without a camera is telling if your players are actually paying attention or not. You get a little tricky.
I get it. Nobody wants to play with me.
You
Well,
know,
the problem is if you could, send Jerry a winning lottery ticket, or pardon me, Doc, sorry, a winning lottery ticket, it would free up time. That's the other thing.
yeah.
That's the biggest thing is finding time when all the players can get together on a regular basis. Like once every 2 weeks is like the maximum time you can do it. Up if you go more than that, people forget and lose interest. And the ideal would be once or twice a week. But most people don't have the time for twice a week, and most people don't have the time to do multiple campaigns. Either physical or virtual.
Right. Now, the funny thing is we're talking about the possibility of Mouse running this campaign, and we've seen how vicious I can be as a game master. Mouse makes me look like a walk through the park, man. Mouse puts the challenge in challenge rating. I'm sorry, Scout's the only one that probably would have got that reference.
Challenge rating is basically a number that monsters or traps or something get given. Like a goblin has a challenge rating of 1/8.
Goblin?
Well, or just for example, we're going to use 1/4.
Okay.
So what that means is that relates to the average level of the party. So if the average level of the party is 1, a challenge rating 1/4 encounter would be a very easy thing for the party to handle. A challenge rating 1 would be a medium difficulty thing for the party to handle, and a challenge rating 2 would be a very difficult thing for the party to handle. Okay? That doesn't tell you the level of the monsters. The monsters usually don't have specific levels, because like a level 1 dragon is much tougher than a level 1 goblin. You can understand that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, it's a way to tell how difficult a thing is. Like a medium difficulty encounter should use about 1/3 to 1/2 of the party's resources. That means number of hit points the characters lose, number of spells the spellcasters spend, amount of ammunition or other provisions the party has to spend to win that encounter. Like a deadly encounter, you're expecting to, 1 or more of the party members actually die to win the encounter.
9 times out of 10, you would run into a deadly encounter, you run.
Yeah, deadly encounters tend to be boss fights that you're the hero, you have to slay the dragon. And so they usually don't just stumble across them. You willingly walk into them because you have to be the hero.
Right.
Or you're money grubbing and you want his hoard. That's the other reason. Oh, he has a Vorpal sword in that hoard. We're going to go get it.
Good fucking luck, dude. I ain't touching it.
Yeah, but so you can as a GM, especially if you tell your characters ahead of time that almost all the fights are going to be on the medium or higher scale, there's no reason you can't run a campaign that way. It's just going to slows everything down.
You got to make sure your players are ready for it.
Yeah, but I mean that means they're being very careful about buying provisions and health potions in town. They're being very cautious about moving through the world, or at least they should be.
Yeah, no shit. Just putting like 2 to 3 people on watch instead of just one.
Yeah. But like if you look in like monster manuals and such, almost all the enemies will have a challenge rating of something, and it's just a way for the DM to tell how hard it is for this monster to be beat by what group of characters.
So 9 times out of 10 in this campaign that I have been running, most of the challenge ratings that they have gone against have been CR1s to their CR level is what I'll say, because the challenge rating is scaled to the level of the party. Big like epic battles where they face off against 20 stormtroopers, man, those guys are all like 1/8 challenge ratings, and at most the 20 stormtroopers come out to be like 2.5 CR, and the party's a level 3, which means it should be a very easy encounter for them. You're talking like being able to pretty much one-shot them. Now, the problem you run into with challenge rating not really giving an idea as to how powerful something is that all-encompassing critical hit, man. You could be a CR.
No, it incorporates. I mean, the critical hit chance is considered in there. It's just most creatures only have a 5% critical hit chance, and that's constant across the board. So it does out. But it's also why a group of 4 goblins is more than even though they start in our numbers as 1/4 challenge rating. The 4 of them together come out to be about a 1.5 instead of just a 1, because of the multiple, the more attacks from a group, and the more things a group can do than just an individual.
Right.
Like a group of, my favorite thing is in Jurassic Park, a group of Proconsuls Aethys copies. A group of 20 of them is a lot more dangerous than a single Velociraptor.
Oh yeah. Strength in numbers, sir. Strength in
Yeah.
numbers. Why is my camera all weirded out again?
The camera's getting bored of the conversation. It's starting to fall asleep. That's a joke. It's a perfectly good nerd camera.
There you go. No, I mean, I had to go over there and shake it awake, man. You might be right. I'm pretty sure we're boring Amy with the conversation.
I'm used to it.
Okay, so back to the original topic at hand. And most of this is just for posterity's sake, posterity's sake. Some P word sake. Kira represents a very unique subject within the galaxy.
Yeah, it probably, her existence probably violates 3 or 4 rules.
Yeah.
But what's the point? What's the point of playing a doll character?
Yeah, true. But
like finding uniqueness in character.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean that's kind of why I let you do what you're doing. You know, but so Kaya grew up in the Order. How does she view Gatal and Bosni?
You know, I have to ask a question because I don't quite remember if it's been discussed. That the two of them, did they actually know each other? Or did they recognize each other from? Because I believe the backstory was they were both at the temple on Jeddah, correct?
Yes, they were both at the temple on Jeddah.
Okay. I'm trying to remember if that subject has actually come up for discussion.
No.
Okay. Then what she sees is she was led by the Force to this meeting with these two other Force-sensitive beings.
Right.
Which is why the concept of restarting the Order jumped into her mind. It's like, hey, the Force is trying to tell you something.
Right.
But there's no, so either had training, and I don't believe either reacted in the temple to give positive indications that they had temple training.
Right. Well,
That she would, that, I mean, now in your narration to them, you know, you said you remember this, you remember that, but that doesn't mean that they're, what she saw would give them indicate.
Right. So, Gatal and Bosni both have fleeting memories of what it was like to live in the temple, but the most they ever were younglings. You know, they had just been selected to become Padawan and were moved off-world because of Order 66. So they had no real formal training with a master. All they have are fleeting memories of, you know, lightsaber practice, you know, classroom work, learning about the history of the Order and its involvement with the Galactic Republic. And they've spent the last 10 years away from that. So, for the most part, they've probably forgotten a lot of what they learned back then.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Scout?
Oh, can you not hear me?
No, you cut out.
Testing.
I can hear you now.
Okay. If they were to admit to some training at some point, and they were to show interest in the idea of reviving the Order, that might, you know, we might, unless they show interest in that direction, she's not going to see them as anything but fellow, you know, friends or
associates. Friends is a little
it's a bit not enough yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's very assuming of you.
I mean, party members is the term, but that's not a term that's associated to the general world.
Right. conversation. Do you know if servers went to work today?
I just woke up.
Okay.
You've gone blurry again. FYI.
Yeah.
Good morning, Watcher.
What system were we leaving at the end of the last Nar Shaddaa? That's it.
Nar Shaddaa. Next, you're gonna tell me it's only gonna take like 3 days to get there.
What hyperdrive were we running at? A 1 or a 0.5?
1.
5 hours?
That's bullshit, really?
You're traveling 9 squares across the map. Quickest route, I'm considering. Okay? 4 of those are in the mid-rim, which has a 1.1 multiplier. Or 5 are in the mid-rim, and 4 are in the outer rim, which has a 1 multiplier.
Okay.
So you're spending 2.6 hours in the outer rim and 2.3 hours in the mid-rim.
Dude, there's no way. There's no way. You're going from one side of the galaxy to the other.
Okay. If that's the case, then what we need to do... Alright, we do have to allow for a bit of suspension of our prejudice on flat travel.
Right.
Okay? And that the geography, that the travel through hyperspace is not based on the linear distance. It's based around the gravimetric, how much gravimetric distortions you have to move around.
Okay.
Okay. That being said, I still think you're right that that is a bit of that is too short of a time. So what we need to adjust is the modifier to how big a square is. So give me a moment to adjust my formulas for that so we can put in a variable length to the square.
But see, the thing that I'm having a hard time believing is it takes 12 hours or 10.5 hours to travel 1 square. and then you're gonna add in all these gravitational distortions and tell me it takes less time to go from one side of the galaxy to another side of the galaxy, which is like at least 7 or 8 squares away? That doesn't make sense. Gravitational distortions would increase the amount of time.
I see what you're talking about. That something's wrong in the formula.
You know, even taking out linear travel, gravitational distortions would increase the amount of time it would take to travel, because gravity snatches light and alters its course. Correct?
Yeah.
Hey, watch him. What do you think?
What's
Okay,
that in the
so
middle?
let's backtrack
That's
this.
rubble.
Yeah, like broken down wall and ceiling. Same here. But that's like more exposed to the elements to the outside versus this is like still portions of the wall exist here and that's cave in on the ceiling, so it's all just kind of like just piled up rubble there.
You still there, Amy?
That's a stairwell down to the lower floors.
No.
Yeah. But these are 2 sections of the map that I squished together because technically they're on the same level, you know, so the entrance hall and the quarters, the quarters, and then beneath that is the next one, which is the room of the Great Seal, which will have, you know, a little bit larger, a little bit more square of a space, and then some more stuff. And then it goes down into the actual tunnel systems.
Oh, this one's mine.
No, main thing was I was asking about wasn't necessarily like, you know, how the layout looks, but it pops. Does that pop enough?
You mean pop?
Like you can see the definition of lines. It's not, you know, it's not confusing where you can see openings.
All I would do is make it more clear that that was a staircase.
Well, yeah, I got.
That's
Well,
the hard part, though.
yeah.
There's just right in the stairs.
Right. Well, for the most part, it looks like an open hole.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's no lighting in this area. You come up on that, you see like a fucking ring, an opening, and it's kind of an open hole. You'd have to actually walk up on it to be able to notice that there's actual stairs that lead down. And it's a broken, busted staircase, so it's there is a whole series of checks to get down the stairs. So, and then like this here is a fountain. You know, it's not a staircase, but like. These things here would be something that I would describe to you as you enter the room. Like as you enter the room, you notice the remnants of a fountain or some type of memorial statue, and then you see on the side of on the left side of the wall as you look into the room, you see a hooded statue, very reminiscent of a Jedi wearing his robes with his cowl up, and some type of table or desk structure. Near the back wall, you know, so that would all be upon me to describe what the room looks like, you know, to kind of give you a better idea. So, because like there's things on here that are written in and noticed, like, you know, I've got them marked off as to what they are in the descriptions here for my sake, because it's stuff that you're not really going to know as a player until you make the checks to discover it. So But my concern was making sure that it's like because sometimes the pencil and the lighting you can't really see the line work all that well. Just making sure
Sorry.
that it's
What
that
did I
it sticks
miss?
out.
Yeah, I can see it.
Well, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, can you look at the map and help me do a plot here? I
Yeah,
want to
sure.
test my map, or the formula that we're basing everything on. Let me know when you got the map up and zoomed in. So you can see it.
Okay, I've got it up on my phone.
Okay. I've got a chart that says it should take 8 hours to go from Alderaan to Bespin. Now, I don't think that number's right, but it's a number we can plug into the formula and see how the formula's working. Okay. Alderaan is in square N10, near the top of the square. Okay.
Okay.
Let me know when you found
Got it.
that. Bespin is in K18, near the left side of the square.
Got it.
Okay. So if you could trace a line going through as few sections of space and few different other regions as you could. So it's like, I think if you draw a straight vertical line down, you'll go through 3 sections of core systems without going into the deep core.
Well,
And
I mean, if you could hop over to the Carillion Run, you can take that all the way down to Bespin, and that's a trade route.
Okay, so that's... Alright, so that's...
You have to just plot a course from Alderaan through...
Okay, so just follow the... Okay, you make a very valid point there. Of just following the Carillion Run.
I mean, they're trade routes. They're meant to expedite travel through the galaxy.
No. Trade routes are known safe routes through the galaxy. The problem with plotting hyperspace jumps is if you plot to an unknown route, you run the risk of running into debris or planets or stars, which is instantaneous death.
Yeah, I mean, but that's why they're on the map in the first place. You know where the trade routes are. So, I mean, if you use the lines that are on the map, it kind of, it's a road map, basically. All the lines, and you'll get somewhere safely. It may take you a little bit longer, but...
No, but you answered the question I wanted to answer. Yeah, and it's not an 8-hour trip.
No, it wouldn't be an 8-hour trip.
No, we're talking
Days.
2-3 days. I can get my thing to figure out how to ignore the boxes that say relative 0.
What is that reflective bit on the far side by the blue bag?
What reflective bit?
Thing round by the blue striped bag that keeps reflecting your arm, basically.
I don't see see what you're talking about.
Now I'm trying to figure out what you're talking about here.
The, right now it's black and gray and white.
That's a drawing of the ship.
No, there's something round that's reflecting things on the table.
Right here?
Waiting for the video to catch up.
Where is it on the screen?
Far right hand side, bottom right corner on the screen.
All I see is blue.
Above the blue. It's
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
There's a piece of like gray cardboard or something up against the bag, I think. Because that's a binder that's blue.
Hold on.
What are you talking about?
So just need to grid Jerry's screen for a minute. Oh, okay, I see it now.
Talking about the lamp.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay.
It didn't occur to me that was something extra in the picture. Like that in the background.
I was about to take a picture of my screen, but I had my flash on
Miss
my phone.
Famous.
So.
Get off the camera. Alright, first 2 rooms of 8 are done.
Artemis. Pretty kitty. What is he playing?
FIFA.
Oh, okay.
Don't stare at something you're not ready for, cat.
Okay, so the trip from Alderaan to Bespin should take 3.4 days. That seems reasonable.
Much more than 8 hours.
Yeah.
Hey, like I said, man, it sounded wrong.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so that doesn't address though the other issue that I just wanted to check to see, since I had somebody telling me a time between Alderaan and Bespin, I wanted to check and see how the formula figured that out. So 3 days sounds much more reasonable than 8 hours. However, the less than this 5-hour transit time across a quarter of the galaxy does not sound reasonable.
Correct. So you're plugging something in wrong. That's the only thing I can think. If the formula.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm going back rereading what he wrote because he didn't write out a formula. He just said that you should take the number of inches on the piece of paper and call them x.
Okay.
And that if the formula for light years to inches is 120,000 light years per inch. That has a problem though, because that's not an accurate scale. Now the only thing that does is it guarantees you that your times are consistent to each other, but not necessarily consistent to the map.
Right.
Because you're not defining it based on the map.
So,
you're defining it based on what's convenient for you. Not you being the person who wrote this.
right.
So what I'm thinking is we need to figure out hold on, there's something else that's not making sense. Because even if we redefine X, you're still going to end up with the trip from Alderaan to Bespin taking 3.4 days, or taking that length of time varied by X, versus the trip from Nar Shaddaa to Yaga Minor taking 4 hours.
Okay.
5 hours.
So, all right. Let's look at this real quick. My battery is almost dead.
On what?
And I left my fucking battery at work. God damn it.
Hope that battery doesn't walk off while it's at work.
We're not going to talk about what will happen to somebody if that happens.
I posted the web page I'm using in the Lab Talks channel.
Right. I'm trying to
So you
figure
can see
out
the same.
how to access the pins. There it is. Alright. Well, you still can't zoom in very far.
Well, on a computer screen, it's a lot easier. You can get
I
close
can
enough
zoom
to
in
make
really
it
far because I downloaded the picture of my phone.
Oh, well, that might make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, the map has got decent zoom on the computer screen. And yeah, if you download it, it's probably got it.
Alright, okay, so Alderaan, which is core.
L10?
10
Yeah.
at the top of the square. Just to the right of the deep core.
Right, to Bespin.
Which is K18.
Right in the middle.
Yeah. Well, it's off to the left of K18.
Well, yeah.
But it's on the trade route number 3. If you follow 3 down,
Follow
it goes.
the line.
Okay. So That's 11 squares of movement.
Yeah. And the only thing you have to consider that the guy who this information is he says, and I think it's a good assumption that travel in the middle of the galaxy is going to take longer because there's more stars
Okay.
in that section. So, like, you spend 3 squares in the core.
Okay.
Okay, then you spend 1 square in the colony section, 1 square in the inner rim, 1 square in the expansion, 2 squares in the expansion region, 1 square in the mid rim, and 1 square in the outer rim.
Okay.
And that gives you your 81.5 hours or 3.4 days worth of time. If you go by the modifiers listed on the other web page I listed.
Okay.
I can tell you those if you don't want to look at them. He's saying the core takes 3 times as long. The colonies takes 2 times. The
Okay.
inner rim
Well,
is
all right.
1.5.
Before we get into that, right?
Yeah.
The formula that you put together, right? How many hours does it take to travel the 11 squares?
If you just do 11 squares, not factoring in.
Not factoring anything in.
It's saying 1 hour.
See, that doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. So, the question becomes, what's wrong with the formula?
Yeah. Okay. So that's where we need to figure things out. Is what's wrong with the formula? Because if we've already established that traveling, what was it, 111,000 light years or whatever, or 11,000 light years? What was that?
Okay, so the numbers he's given is he's saying a Type 1 hyperdrive goes about, he's saying 1,000,000 times, 100 million times the speed of light. Okay? Which I don't have any, that just sounds like a decent number. It can cover 11,415 light years in an hour. Okay?
Okay.
That's accounting for, like, open space.
Right.
That sounds reasonable, I guess.
Okay.
Maybe it's a little fast.
So even so, we calculated out that 1 square is what, 100,
120,000 light years.
and you travel 11,000 light years
Light years in an hour.
in an hour. So to go,
Oh, I think I see where the problem is.
so to go 120,000 light years at 11,000 light years an hour, you're still going to be traveling for what, 10 hours? Yeah?
Yeah, I see where the problem in the formula is. So 1 square takes 11 hours.
Okay. So 1 square takes 11 hours. Right?
Okay, there I go. I got it fixed. 116 hours, 4.8 days to go 11 squares. Okay.
4.8 days
I had
to
a
go 11
parentheses
squares.
in the wrong place.
And then you add your modifiers, right?
Oh, I gotta change the formula and all the other square.
So then you add your modifiers, and that's going to increase or decrease the amount of time based upon. Well,
You're still looking at 3.4 about 3.5 days. Oh, wait a minute, I'm missing something.
Yeah, because if it's 4 days to travel 11 squares, and gravitational modifiers increase the amount of time it takes, it shouldn't go from 4 days to 3.5 days.
First of all, it's only 9 squares from Alderaan to Bespin.
Right. No, it was 11.
Okay. No, it's 9.
Is it?
3 down, 4. You go 4 down, diagonal 1, diagonal 1, diagonal 1. That's 7. Then down 2 is 9.
Okay, so 9. So
that comes up to 3.9 days.
okay, so
94 hours.
so, huh?
That ends up being 3.9 days from Alderaan to
Right.
Bespin.
So then you incorporate the modifiers for going through the core, the colonies, the expansion, inner rim and outer rim, and that should increase the amount of time. That should take it from almost 4 days to probably about 6.
No, because the only two that have significant modifiers are the core and the colonies.
Right.
And those are 3 for the core and 2 for the colonies. So spending about half the journey there. So you end up spending about 2 days just in those 2 sections.
Okay.
And then once you get to the inner rim going outward, the amount of space you can cover on 1 square increases significantly.
Right.
So, like, it's showing you're spending 11 hours, which is the time it takes to cross 1 square, in each of the outer rim, the mid rim, the expansion, and the inner rim, because you're basically going through each of those sections in each square.
Okay.
You're only spending 1 square
So
in each of those.
that's 11 hours per square. How many squares are in that?
4 hours.
So it's
That's the back half of the trip, which would be 4 hours, or 44 hours.
44 hours. So that's 2
Yeah.
days. Almost
Yeah.
2 days. Right?
Yeah. So yeah, they're 0.4 days each. I've got a column for both hours and days on my
Okay.
formula, so.
And then
So I'm not-
then you add
You're spending 53 hours in the colonies and core sections.
53 and 44, right?
It's 94.6 hours. The decimal place doesn't really matter,
But okay,
95
96
hours.
hours. So well, even so, 95 hours, right? So
Yeah.
so you're spending 5 days. So I was right. I said it was about 6 days.
why is my thing showing 3.9 days?
Your formula's messed up somewhere.
No, it's just the number of hours divided by 24.
So are you adding all of the hours together?
Yeah, let me double check, but I think that's right.
That was a minute, sir.
So you said 95 hours divided by 24 hours.
Oh, I see what's going on is there's, because 95 plus 53 plus 44 is 97, but those hours are round it's doing rounding in the background, and when I sum the column up, it's adding the non-rounded numbers, which is, I don't know a way to fix that. So, but it's still roughly, you're still ending up with basically 4 days of travel. Because 24 times 4 is 96.
Then, okay, but then that doesn't make any sense to me.
I'm AFK.
Because
Okay.
if Oh, math. Gotta love math. So if we look at it like this, right? And we say that 1 square equals 11 hours, right?
Okay, we can live with that, yeah.
That's what we've established.
Yeah.
That 1 square is 11 hours,
Yeah.
right? And we have to travel 9 squares, so that's 11
That should be
hours
90, that should be,
times 9. That's 99 hours.
okay.
So how are we going from 99 hours to 96 hours? Why are we losing 3 hours when the gravitational distortion?
Here's why, and it's like I was saying, it's in the way the numbers are rounded. You're spending actually 10.5 hours per square.
Okay, so even so, 10.5
So
hours.
that half is why you have a difference between 95 and 99.
So, but even so 10.5 times 9 is 94.5 hours, right?
Right.
Now, 4 of these squares we actually travel at 44 hours, right?
42 hours.
Or 42 hours, right? So 4 times 10.5, 42 hours, right? Then,
Yeah.
how many squares do we spend in the core?
3 squares.
3
And
squares.
The modifier for the core is times 3.
Times 3. So that means that
31.5 hours in the 3 core squares.
per square.
No.
Yes.
Per square. Oh, okay.
Damn it,
Why
Scout.
is
Stay
it-
with me. Stay with me. If the modifier is times 3 to travel in the core per square, then that means the 10.5 gets multiplied by 3. So 10.5
All right, thank you, because that's what
equals
it wasn't-
31.5.
it
Then you multiply that by 3 because 3 squares are in that. That's 94.5 hours spent in the core. Then you multiply it by 2 for the colonies, right? And expansion, correct?
Okay, 7.8 days when it wasn't, the modifier was getting multiplied by 0 for some reason.
So when we initially established, oh yeah, travel in 9 squares takes about 4 days, and I went, so with the modifiers, we're going to probably about 6 days, and you were like, no, it's only 3. I was right, you was wrong, motherfucker.
Yeah, that's why I'm bouncing the ideas off of that.
So
I don't
now,
have a problem. I don't have a problem.
no, I know. I'm just
you
fucking with you. I'm just fucking with you. Hey, you got to remember, I was a computer science major, man. Math was kind of my shtick. So.
But all right, so this still all right.
So that's not. Well, hold on. So that's 94.5 hours in the core, and then how many days?
Yeah.
94.5.
Yeah, I had to reestablish
Okay.
what it was rounded.
So how
Right,
many
so yeah.
squares are we in the colonies?
2 squares for 42 hours.
2 squares for 42 hours.
There's a 2 multiplier on the colonies.
So that means that we're in the colonies for 84 hours.
No.
Yes.
We would no, because I fixed the formula.
So if
So it's
if 10.5
times 2.
times 2. Oh, I see what you're saying. Never mind.
And then times the multiplier gets you the 42.
Right, and then times the number of squares. Yeah, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And see, in like the inner rim, it wouldn't be 10.5, it'd be 15.8. Expansion 13.1. Mid rim 11.6. Outer rim 10.5. Outer rim is the multiplier of 1.
Right.
The base is wrong.
Right. No. I understand that, but we had to break it all the way down to figure that out, to make sure that the numbers were coming out correctly. So if we're spending 3 days at, what you say, 15, right? Well, anyway we look at it, right? So we spend 94.5 hours in the core. We spend 42 hours in the colonies, right?
Yeah.
How many hours do we spend in the expansion? In the expanse?
If I share my screen with you in Discord, can you pull it up on your second monitor?
Yeah. Well, it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter here because my monitor isn't showing.
Okay. So in the expansion, our inner rim is 15.8. That's the next section.
You're not sharing your screen.
Oh, I thought you said that wouldn't work.
No. I'm saying that I don't need to pull it up on my second monitor because it's not going to matter.
Can't share my screen to the VIP lounge.
You can't share your screen to the VIP lounge? You should be able to.
No, I got it. I have like 6 screens up at the moment, and
Okay.
it's asking me which one I want to share.
All right, so outer rim is 10.5, mid rim's 11.6, expansion. So we travel.
There's the total at the bottom. Do you want me to make this bigger?
No, it's fine. It's fine. Ah.
So I bolded out and put labels on the totals.
Right. So. Okay, I see what you did here. Okay. All right, so to calculate how far we've gone, or how long it's going to take to go from where we're going, from our point to so we are going from Nar Shaddaa, which is in mid rim, outer rim. I can't tell where that is.
Nar Shaddaa is in S12.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's right on the mid rim line.
Okay, so
So
mid
I
rim.
would count it as mid rim.
Okay, so mid rim. So we go mid rim. We're going 2 squares in the mid rim. No, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares in the mid rim. 1, 2. What rim is it? What is that?
We're going to K5.
Right. So 6
And that's
squares
all,
in the mid
that's
rim.
all outer rim out there.
Huh?
K5 is in the outer rim.
Right, I understand that. But if we're traveling via hyperspace routes, right? So the hyperspace route we would take would be from Null Hutta or Nar Shaddaa to Kashyyyk, correct? Or do you want to go the roundabout way and go strictly outer rim?
See, I think the hyperspace, the nav computer, it would depend on exactly
Which way was fastest?
how the pilot is going. Is the pilot going to play it safe, or is the pilot going to try for the quick trip? Play it safe would be. Hello.
Where's that?
We're discussing travel times in the Star Wars universe.
Hey, what's up,
How-
dude?
Howdy.
So, all right. So let's do the outer rim. Let's do the roundabout. Bond would go the roundabout route, right?
Yeah, they go the quickest route.
Bond would do the roundabout route. She would avoid the core, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So avoiding the core, we'd go through the outer rim territories. So we're mid rim, right?
Counting about 13 spaces, quickest route.
1,
Without going into mid-rim?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 spaces without entering the mid rim.
Okay.
So even so, 13 spaces without entering the mid rim, right? So that puts us at
5.7 days.
5.7 days,
That sounds reasonable.
right? Which I said it
Okay,
would
so
take
we-
about a week, right, to get to
Yeah,
Yavimaya.
so I've got the formula fixed, so it's calculated.
Okay.
Oh my god, y'all are still doing this?
Yeah.
There are levels of nerd which you have yet to experience.
I've experienced a lot of levels of nerd.
So we come back to that moment in stream where you got on, you made the statement of you've been doing your final prep for 30 minutes and you just witnessed how long we were doing this for. Now do you understand why final prep can take 30 minutes?
Yeah.
So from somebody who wanted to get on my case about time, from somebody who wanted to get on my case about time and time management, essentially, you don't have any idea what prepping for a D&D session is like. Now you understand why it can take so long.
Feels like her at the end.
I don't think anybody would want that.
Hello, sir.
Hi, server.
Oh yeah, he didn't go to work today.
Yeah, I noticed. How's your cleared up?
I don't know, I keep fucking breaking out.
Do you?
My hand, I just fucking washed my hand. I woke up and I got something to eat and now I'm broken up from here to here. Something in the house that's either got cleaned or something or whatever and now it's like I don't know what it is, so I'm like avoiding touching the shit. And
Oh my goodness.
let me see where
I'm okay, man. Feels much later in the day than it actually is. That's all cocked.
Somebody pet the background cat. She's cute and needs pet.
She doesn't want to be pet. If she wanted to be petted, she would be bothering one of us to pet her.
somebody got a package that you get.
No, that's the box for this.
It's with the thing there.
What thing?
The thing. It's all rolled up.
Oh, that's my Rurouni Kenshin flag.
You just keep it rolled up.
Huh?
You just keep it
I
rolled
don't
up.
have anywhere to hang it.
You don't have a room?
No, I don't have the fucking parts to hang it. missed it, man. We were talking theory earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were talking about Kaya's reaction to how everything's been going down and character development for her character, for the character, for her personality and viewpoints after everything that's been said and done recently. So,
Cool.
you want in on that conversation?
Or bad.
I mean, we're talking space travel at the moment.
Well, yeah. But we finished that now, right?
I think so. I think the formula and the chart I've got up to sound.
Okay.
I like that.
What?
What girl just posted.
Not roll. Squirrel.
My apologies, sir.
Rockefeller.
Dolgus.
You mean Douglas?
He might come kill you.
You know, out of everybody that joined that guild, I think I was the only one that looked at his name and went, that doesn't look like Douglas, that's spelled wrong.
He's gonna come beat you to death with the branch off a Dolgus fir.
Well, it was funny because somebody was talking to me in chat and I was like, how do you say that name? And it's like, that's Douglas. And somebody was like, it's Douglas. I was like, that does not look like Douglas to me. It looks like Dolgus. And then I asked him, I was like, is it Dolgus or Douglas? And he sighed at me. He like fucking audibly sighed at me for it. I was like, at least I fucking asked.
She's not even listening.
Definitely muted right now. Mutant. I can talk.
No, apparently none of us can. He didn't label this a proper grammar channel.
Yeah. Of course. But that's okay. Because I can alter the... Yeah, it's fine. I can change the...
Alright, I sent you the link, or a copy of the Excel sheet. So if you want to, that way you don't have to depend on me to be around to use it.
Alright, I'm back.
You missed it.
So the question about the name you used on the Old Republic, as to whether it was Dolgus or Douglas?
I charge people 5 credits every time they mispronounce it.
Now the question becomes, did I mispronounce it once or twice?
A couple of times. Currently the high score winner is Labrad. He owes me like $50.
But what is the pronunciation? Oh,
Dolgus.
I'll pay you credits.
Dolgus.
It's Dolgus. I started calling him Douglas just to irritate him.
Yeah, but you owe me like $50 now, so what are you gonna do?
You get credits.
I owe you 50 credits.
Yeah, I'll take 50 credits then.
All right. Well, next time I install, I'll make sure I send it your way.
If I ever install that again.
Yeah, same.
So, it's actually a funny story about the name Dolgus. I made him long before I realized there was already a Dolgus you meet in the game. I've had the Dolgus name for a good long before Star Wars came out. And who remembers the Warrior campaign on Corran?
I do.
What's your rival's name?
Good question. I don't remember his name, but I remember you beat a Dolgus.
Yeah, your rival's kind of like big dumb friend is Dolgus, and he tries to kill you with one. You just beat his ass. So I did not. And he spells it differently too. So I had named my knight before realizing, oh yeah, there's actually someone in here already with my name. Good thing he's an unbelievably minor character.
Good thing no one has the name Amy.
Yet.
Shush. My name. Now, I'm.
So where did the conversation come from?
Scout mispronouncing Goral, pronouncing it Groll.
Yeah, everyone does that too. I don't know why my names are so difficult.
Because we actually used to raid with somebody by the name of Grawl.
Yeah.
He was our druid tank back in our Warcraft days.
I still have him on my BattleNet friend.
You met Grawl after the fact.
Oh, yeah, I'm just saying, I still have him on my BattleNet friend.
Grawl used to be our druid tank back when we were all a part of a guild called Death Omen on the Ysera server.
I think he played Diablo with us once or twice.
That wouldn't surprise me. You good, man?
Mm-hmm.
Can we move the big blue bag so Cerberus' face
No.
is not covered up?
No. That's fine right where it's at.
So, conversation we were having earlier was like revelations that that characters have had, and how it's changed their viewpoint, or if it has changed their viewpoint. And Scott was telling us a little bit about how Kaya's initial belief in what Kaya wanted to do has changed because of how she is perceived. The reactions of like Chris and Horn in regards to force sensitivity and adjacency towards members. So a question for you, if you're willing to participate in the conversation.
Okay.
How has Gatal dealt with what are Gatal's thoughts and coping mechanisms in regard to everything that's happened? I mean, Gatal's grown up the last 10 years of his life as a foundling, as a Mandalorian.
Yeah. So, like, what kind of changes has he gone through?
Well, changes. Has he actually gone through changes? Has he? What is currently driving Gatal?
Right now, it's kind of, I don't know, he's still holding on strong to his foundling background. It's just a little bit different now. The fact that, you know, being with the Mandalorians for so long and training to do the whole bounty hunting and stuff like that, he's been a big part of just like kind of like get in there, get the job done no matter what, and you know, if somebody dies kind of thing.
Right.
But it seems like a lot of the missions we've been going on is like, this person has to stay alive. We got to keep this person safe.
Sometimes that's the nature of the job, though.
Well, I mean, you get a choice on which bounties you pick if you're a bounty hunter going in. We're like, I want this bounty, I want this bounty. It's like, you know, who's to say he didn't just go in for dead or alive contracts, you know?
So then that brings up the question: what type of bounty hunter is Gatal? Is he an assassin?
No, I wouldn't really say he's an assassin, but it was basically like it didn't matter to him whether if the person he was going in came in alive or not. It was like, you know, if they happen to die, oh well, they happen to die. You know, he still collects a bounty on their head. You know.
Right. So what are his thoughts in the fact that the Mandalorians have mandated and issued these several bounties to you that were, you know, they were not dead or alive. They were, you need to bring them back alive. How does that?
Well, that's why he didn't really, technically, if you notice, like a lot of the stuff that happened, he didn't go after the target itself. He let the rest of the party go after the target while he dealt with, you know, the
Why?
enemy forces coming in.
Why? Why did he do that though?
It was more or less like he felt like maybe he's better suited for the others to take them in, and that, you know, he's better suited to just like, I'm gonna blow everything away, and you know, it's like at least help make a contribution to the group by keeping everybody safe, at least to finish the contract.
So does Gatal just not trust himself around a bounty target? That not that he doesn't trust himself to do the job, but that he just doesn't trust himself to not care whether or not the bounty target comes in alive or dead.
More or less, yeah. It's pretty much. It's like if the target has to be brought in alive, you know, he's kind of going shoot first, ask questions later kind of thing.
That has been very apparent with the fact that in this last campaign session, or at least campaign arc, the use of not one but two thermal detonators in a civilian populated area. Needless to say, you have upset several party members with those actions.
We got the job done.
So what's going to happen with his whole relationship with the Mandalorian clan and his newfound or reacquired powers as a force wielder, as a user of the force?
Well, he hasn't been relying on the force so much. He still relies heavily more on his Mandalorian training and his combat prowess when it comes to that. It's kind of like it's a new thing to him. If he has it, he can use it in a pinch. But when it comes to, I don't know, it's kind of like a, you know, power corrupts kind of thing. He doesn't want to solely, you know, be reliant on it, but he has it just in case. But in the few instances that he has used it, he realizes that it is a very strong and powerful, you know, tool against other people, and the fact that some of the enemies that we have been coming up against have been pretty strong.
But at some point, he's gonna have to make a choice between them, right?
No, I mean, I don't have to make a choice of being a force, a Jedi, or, You know, that's the thing. It's like that's why it's like a lot of the stuff we've been dealing with has been keeping people alive, keeping people safe. That's one of the whole reasons going to Chris is because he has this power now that is a formidable power that, like the one guy that I almost fucking killed, and then we're like, escaping. He uses he heals them using the Force. That's not something that he's not like, hey, I'm going around, healing people. That's, it's something new that he's done that helped and whatnot. But he coming to Chris and asking him to train him, he realizes that the Force can be a strong tool to use in certain situations, and he would like to perfect it more. If you're gonna have something, perfect what you have. And
Right.
Chris is the strongest Force user out of the group, and the fact that Chris specializes in just seeing how Chris used the Force the first few times or whatever.
Right.
So it's kind of something like Vital realizes that could be handy is that it's not like a flashy kind of like, hey, look at me, I got this power, and I'm showing it off to everybody. It's kind of like subtle and but also powerful.
Right.
And the fact that Vital is a ranged character, it would help out in the sense that he doesn't have to be up close in your face to use his powers.
So is him going to Chris a way for him to manipulate Chris into training him in hopes that Chris may acquire a true apprentice in a sense, or has your character not even really thought about it like that? Like, are you trying to manipulate Chris into training you, or are you genuinely interested in being trained by him?
Well, being trained by him, it's not like I'm manipulating him to be like, hey, train me, it's kind of like now being with a group of people, having to keep people safe instead of just going in guns blazing kind of thing. It's a different approach to him.
Is it making you question how you used to do things? Is Gatal gonna be do you foresee Gatal suffering one of those moments of crisis in character development that maybe through the actions of the party and the jobs that you've pulled, that maybe you've been doing things wrong?
Well, it's kind of like this. Being a bounty hunter and going after the people that, did wrong, that were bad. It's kind of like, it's all on a matter of perspective on how somebody good or bad, but generally picking a bounty, you get to pick on what you want. You can get like information on your target and everything like that, and you can kind of ascertain and determine whether the person is bad or good or whatever based on things that they've done and the reason why.
The reason the bounty is on him in the first place, right?
Right. So to him, all of his targets he's gone after has been bad. And that's why he didn't really care whether the person was
So
bad.
what is, in that sense of defining your bounty targets as bad individuals, what's the moral standpoint that you use to judge that off of? Because like, what happens when you peruse the HoloNet and all of a sudden you see Chris's name and face pop on a bounty chart because he's a Jedi?
That's gonna be the kind of. Even after the last ones that we've gone through, it's been a turning point. We went after Black Sun, criminals and everything. They're bad people, but
I don't know. The accountant didn't go around murking the shit out of somebody.
But
But then
the thing-
again, all it takes for evil to succeed is for good men to stand and do nothing.
But the thing is the fact that they're willing to turn themselves into a tongue for whatever evil deeds they did, kind of make you see it as like, okay, these people did bad things, but they're not like.
They're not evil.
That's kind of something that
They're human.
that's
They're
kind of
misguided.
something that he sees is that okay, these people are he's better. These people are turning themselves in, so.
Sorry, is that bothering you?
No, I just didn't know what that was happening.
Ah. Yeah, I'm trying to cut this paper without like ripping the shit out of it.
So it's kind of one of those things where, I mean, and also too the fact that, yeah, Mandalorians and Jedi's, aren't the best of,
Best of friends.
the fact that,
Man, Mandalorians and Jedi aren't the best of friends. It's like friends. They were friends.
but the fact that,
Here's the situation you have to consider. You're on a call to Mandalore to discuss a bounty, and Chris comes by and says, Padawan, why haven't you finished doing this yet?
Woo!
most cases I'm probably going to be making calls to Mandalore while I'm like,
Off ship.
off ship, away from everybody,
Kind of like what you did on Dantooine. You kind of separated yourself out from the rest of the group to make that call to.
But it's also too the first interaction that we had with Chris and everything. We were fighting enemies, and he was fighting the same enemies as we were.
He was defending his shit.
Yeah, but still, the fact that he was still fighting the same people we were.
True.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of situation. That was the thing I had at that point. Like, when he first come running in, we didn't know if he was going to start fighting us, but I saw that he was attacking the same guys we were, so I was like, fuck it, I'm going to help him.
Right. It's like, oh, this dude's doing something and it's not hurting me, so let me hop in on
Just
this.
because we beat his checks doesn't mean he wasn't trying.
I wasn't. I was actually trying to get you on the ship, just in a little bit more hurried of a fashion.
But in the situation that he knows of what I am, obviously, I'm a fucking man of war.
Oh yeah. Oh, I don't know. Your T-visor kind of gives that away.
But what I'm saying is we know he's was a Jedi, former Jedi, whatever. But he's not straight up like, yo, you're a fucking Mandalorian, I'm gonna fucking murk you now. So
on you in your sleep.
it
We have rubber bands. Not that I know of. You might want to check the drawer with the bottle caps on.
That's easy.
everything that we that my people know of them seem to be off right now.
What do you mean?
Well, the fact that the Mandalorians and the Jedi don't get along and they usually fight each other. Me and Chris aren't fucking at each other's throats right now trying to kill each other.
Well, maybe that's because Chris doesn't see you as a true Mandalorian threat.
Or threat at all.
Well, I mean, not to sound like a dick, but even that statement holds true. Or maybe he just doesn't see you as a threat at all.
But I mean, regardless.
I mean,
fact
Jesus
that
Christ,
I am-
you've come to him seeking training, and he's kind of like,
How do you not see any Mandalorian as a threat? Even if they're not as powerful as you, or they can't hold a candle to you in power and strength. All it takes is one call and be like, "Yo, I found a Jedi,"
There's a difference between perceiving someone as a threat and perceiving someone as a nuisance. So, you're not a threat to Chris because you can't take him down. You're a nuisance to Chris because, yes, you could make a fucking hollow call and make his life a living hell. Hence the reason why he has absolutely kept a close eye on everybody that's come onto his ship. And he has pointed out specific facts about each one of you to let you know that he's onto you in some way, shape, or form. looking at Bosnia and going, huh, haven't seen one of your kind in a long time. Looking at Kaya and going, recognize that face, you know, and then even looking at you and acknowledging the fact that you're a foundling, you know, that he looked at you and was like, he flat out knew that you did not grow up on Mandalore. You know, you may have been there at a young age, but you didn't grow up there. You didn't have the same quirks and things like that. So, you know, he called everybody out on these small little details. And trust me when I tell you, I rolled to see. I almost didn't get the chance to call you out on any of it because I had set the DC check for that at like a fucking 20, and I got lucky enough to roll an 18, and my perception, my insight was high enough to breach that. I almost didn't get you, but like Bosnia, I rolled a natural 20 to determine whether or not I recognized him as an Anzat. You know, and it was like, wow, that's just kind of fucked up. Now, Kaya, I didn't have to roll anything for because Kaya is a former member of the Order who has been through the Temple. And I've worked in the archives. I pretty much have met every fucking Jedi that has gone to the core worlds because every Jedi has gone through the archives at least once. You know, and her face, very similar to her sister, who I'm sure that, you know, Chris probably worked hand in hand with in the archives for a short period of time, you know. But it's just so that there were things like that, you know, and so he's absolutely watching all of you. Now, he doesn't view you as much of a threat in the sense of violence. The person that, and, you know, player knowledge, the person that Chris fears the most on the ship is Kaya. Because Kaya doesn't remember. And he expected her to. And when she drew a blank on everything that's transpired in the last 10 years, and she didn't let it slip, but she gave that hesitation to it. It's like he doesn't know if he's being played by Kaya or not. He doesn't know if she's faking it. He doesn't know if she really doesn't know. All he knows is that she's supposed to be a knight. Like, if Kaya's been alive this long, then there's no rhyme or reason why she shouldn't be able to stand toe-to-toe against Chris. You know? And it's still kind of befuddling to Chris to see her and look at her and see a young-ass face when the last time he probably ran into her was, you know, 10 years ago, and she looks the same, you know. So, you know, it's just little subtle things. But I still can't find fucking something to bind this with. This is why I haven't worked on the maps yet.
Here's some tape.
No.
Paperclip?
I don't have any paper clips.
Alright. So, you get a brush, you start brushing Artemis, and weave the fur you get off Artemis into a string.
Silence.
Alright, go out and start punching the tree in the front yard till you get some thatch.
Quiet.
Here.
And make a pickaxe.
I've got
And then
human
you
hair.
can get, or
I
you
don't
have to
need
get
to rub
fiber.
anybody anytime soon.
Braid it into a rope.
And choke somebody with it, right?
Oh, tie your
All right, Mr. Goblin Slayer. I found some masking tape. That should work.
I could lash a couple of scissors together.
That was such a disturbing moment in that anime.
Y'all need to go by Walmart and get some basic supplies.
You know, I meant to pick up some more hair bands because they're
More hair.
yeah, more hair bands because they're they won't tear the paper like a rubber band will.
Oh, I thought you were going to say they're disappearing as cat toys.
No. If hair bands disappear in this house, it's because Cerberus and I have left them in randomly odd places. There's no more on the statue. We've gone through those. And we haven't gotten any more in the store, so I haven't been able to buy any. Alright, which one is this? This is Room of the Great Seal. So, how do you, as a player, feel about Gatal's development so far?
I mean, it's going pretty interesting. The fact that I'm like, hey, look at my face.
Valid point. Why did Gatal do that?
Well, the fact that he was gonna get turned away.
Last ditch effort. Show me titties. Wow.
But,
I cannot believe that is your reasoning behind that.
no, it's kind of like, okay, so like I said, at first he was kind of like go in, shoot first, ask questions later. Kind of
Right.
thing. And now it seems like everything we've been up against is like, this person's gotta live. This person's gotta live. And now I'm being charged with, watching out for a particular individual that I gotta keep safe.
charged with sedation.
I've got to keep somebody alive now, and my character, is not
I'm
built,
not a fucking bodyguard,
he's
damn
not
it.
built for that, but honor in a sense,
Honor demands, yeah.
honor demands that he
I got you.
takes on the charge.
So, but why now? Why so soon? I guess is the point I'm trying to get to, because man, I mean, as a player, do you understand the repercussions of what you've done?
Oh yeah, of course. But the thing is most of the time whenever he's been doing things by himself. He's been a lone wolf kind of.
Right.
Here's this bounty, go out and do it, and then he does it, and then that's it. Now it's like he's kind of been thrust together with a group of people, and
Who you probably don't trust all of them.
right. But it's like seeing how other people's approaches and interactions to things. I like to think that he's more of like a tactician when it comes into dealing with things, but it's kind of like, the least amount of effort when it comes to doing things. Hey, look, there's a group of, enemies coming my way. Do I want to sit there and shoot at each individual one, or do I just want to be like, hey, fuck it, I'm going to blow up everything and fucking, take out the group and go on to the he's used to taking people out in the quickest, most efficient manner, and now it's like I've got other people to worry about
Okay.
other than just himself, and it's a little bit different for his approach to things. So he's kind of seeing a different way of doing things. Granted, to him, he probably feels that it's a more difficult way of dealing with things.
It's probably a more difficult way of dealing with it. Yeah, you think?
So, he's got to kind of change up his repertoire of tactics and weaponry and stuff like that. And, the fact that he has some kind of attunement to the Force, that he sees how powerful that, it can be in a certain situation, and then it gets him out of situations, it's like he's going to utilize it whenever, he feels that, he needs to go that way. And, the fact that he's trying to be a team player while still trying to do his own thing.
Right.
But, it's not like I can be like, hey, there's a group of enemies surrounding my allies, thermal detonator. No, that's not going to be his choice.
I don't know, man. You're kind of free-willed with those thermal detonators.
But I threw him away from where I thought everybody else was at. It's not like I'm like, hey, there's you know, Bosni's standing there surrounded by a whole bunch of, you know, stormtroopers.
Big bad motherfuckers, and I'm just gonna chuck a grenade.
Yeah, guys,
Bosley, fuck it.
it's
Yeah.
like, fuck it, whatever.
Sayonara, motherfucker. See you next week.
So, but that's basically where it's at right now.
Okay.
He's kind of going through a shift in his general style and tactics. You know, he's gonna have to, you know, change with the times, or you know,
Or get swallowed. I hear you. So, what does Gatal hope to achieve by learning from Chris?
well, seeing how the stories go, the Jedi were Mandalorian's greatest, you know, greatest conflict.
So, are you hoping that you're gonna fight against Chris at some point, or?
Not necessarily. It's more or less, you know, it's like you learn from your enemies to better understand them, you know.
So you do view Chris as a potential enemy?
Well, he's not a potential friend right now. He was once a Jedi, and you know we were trained to fight Jedi. You know, so it's kind of one of those things where it's like, you know, if I have the opportunity to see the inside workings of how, like I said, Gatal was always about, you know, bad people, you know, need to
So
basically
you're one of the few characters in the party, at least right now, that has been in continuous contact with the HoloNet and everything that has happened in the galaxy. Like, as much as Kaya has been in contact with the HoloNet, Kaya's main existence was taking care of the Antilles, right? Being adopted as a daughter and kind of playing the, would you say, upper crust, mid crust kind of lifestyle, Scout?
Well, definitely the upper crust of Corellian society.
So the upper crust of Corellian society probably wouldn't really focus too much on, you know, the happenings of the galaxy. You know, not at least in the sense of you know, well, Jedi are evil and Jedi are bad. But growing up on Mandalore, you know, for the last 10 years of your life, trained to fight against Jedi, access to the HoloNet, Imperial influence on your planet. You know, you've heard stories that these Jedi were warmongers and trying to overthrow the galaxy.
But isn't that true for everybody else in the galaxy pertaining towards the Mandalorians?
Right, no, but and that's what I'm saying is like, so you're getting conflicting reports. Like you are being told of, you know, from your Mandalorian family, from your clan, of these ancient fights between the Mandalorian clans and the Jedi, and how the Mandalorians were rapidly expanding and the Jedi stepped in to stop them, not in a fashion of extermination, but in a fight, you know, and it was one of the more proud moments of Mandalorian history to go toe-to-toe against the Jedi Order in such a fashion. And then to be told by Imperials that the Jedi are these evil, maniacal, you know, plotting individuals that were attempting to overthrow the galaxy, and the Emperor saved the galaxy from these warmongers and corrupt individuals. How does that affect Gatal?
Well, he sees things in a different light. He's not one to take things at people's word. He's generally, especially getting from the Imperial influence. Granted, yeah, we have the Imperial influence on our home planet and everything, but we don't necessarily like the Empire either.
Right. Oh no doubt. Absolutely.
And that's the thing is, most of this, if you notice, I'm not very trustworthy with pretty much anybody we come cross. You know, I'm not. I keep myself away pretty much from everybody else in the party and whatnot, except for other Mandalorians. Even then, going to like the Mandalorian Enclave, I was still kind of like cautious around other Mandalorians,
Right.
unless it pertains to my clan back on Mandalore. You know, it's like those are the people that I trust more because I've grown up with them. I've lived with them. You know, that's a little bit different.
Right.
It's kind of like, you know, leaving home. Don't trust anybody who isn't, you know, part of my clan or my home. You know, the Mandalorians is one thing. You know, like off of the home world. You know, it's like I'll give them a little bit of leeway, but still, it's like that one guy that you know, being part of Death Watch, he was still a Mandalorian, but he was Death Watch, and it's like I didn't like his fucking attitude. Fuck you.
Fuck you. Fear. Fucking shot at the gates. That was
I try and keep my character.
by far one of the highlights of that session, by the way.
I try and keep my character as noble as possible. In a
Noble
sense,
as possible.
in the sense of you know. I'm trying to think of.
You're losing the words.
Yeah, I'm losing what I was thinking of here. Of the fact that, like, you know, I'm not gonna just straight up and murk people because I want to.
You sure about that? Because, like, you
How many-
absolutely straight up murked the shit out of a bunch of fucking security guards coming up a turbo lift.
Were they shooting at me?
No.
Were they gonna attack us?
Possibly.
Okay. They were attacking the others.
Threat assessment made it mandatory. Understood.
It's not like I'm going through like a city and like, hey, look, a whole bunch of civilians, and I'm gonna start opening fire in the group. I haven't killed any civilians.
Yet.
Everybody I've been dealing with is had was a threat. You know, don't get in the Mandalorian's way.
Don't put words in my mouth, motherfucker. I hear you.
So in a sense that, you know, and that's why I like doing the bounty and everything like that too. You know, divvying up the bounty the way I did.
Right.
Everybody took part in it. We were part of a group. We did it all together. I'm not gonna be like, this is all mine, and you only get a small bit of it. You know, I'm like, if we're gonna do this as a team, then you know we should all get equal share and be a team. But it's like,
So are you looking to form us into a company or a bounty hunting company or?
I mean, it hasn't gone that far yet to where I'm feeling like that I can fully trust everybody yet, because I'm still kind of like leery of everybody. Because I mean, one, you gotta fucking, you know, player knowledge right now. The fact that, you know, Bosny's character is always kind of like, looks like he's up to no good. He's shady as fuck. And player knowledge, knowing that he eats people's brains, you know, it's kind of like, you know, I don't trust this guy. You know, your character, I still have kind of, you know, you've been, it's kind of been established that you have a stronger connection with the Force and you've dealt with Jedi and everything like that. And also, too, not knowing of what your character fully is, but knowing that you're not exactly what you say you are. Like, motherfucker picks up a droid and flings it over his shoulder.
I'm just this little old girl from Texas.
Little old girl from Texas, my ass.
Oh.
Do I sound like that?
No. Texas just came into my mind at that moment. I was not trying to replicate you or anything like that. Coincidence is coincidence.
Everybody still has their secrets, you know. but also seeing how Chris being a Jedi or whatever, you know, whatever he happens to be right now, seeing how he deals with like the Empire and everything, and as I said before, you know, the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of situation, fighting off Imperials and you know, doing the things that he's done. That's, to me, when you see stuff like that or hear stuff like that, it's kind of like, you know, generally the Jedi were like viewed as like protectors of the galaxy and whatnot. But granted, that's you know, still player knowledge.
Well,
Be-
no, that's not really player
Well,
knowledge.
even in the game, even in the world, you know, it's the Empire took over.
Right.
They labeled the Jedi as being, you know, these evil people and everything, but you know, and not having direct dealings with Jedi before, except for, you know, being, you know, a Padawan, a little teeny kid in the, you know, the whole Jedi Order thing, and never really got to learn anything yet. You know, it's
Right.
like as soon as we got there, it's kind of like bam, Order 66. You know, so it's like it's being a kid, perspective from a child. It's kind of confusing. You don't know what's going on, what's happening, kind of thing, and not being able to, you know, never having any kind of training or learning of what they're about yet. I'm basically going off of, this is my first account with, you know, this stuff, and it's, instead of going from, you know, other people's opinions and thoughts and stuff like that, I'm trying to build up my own idea of what they are and what they're about, and
Right.
so it's kind of more or less like I'm out on my own. You know, I've got to survive on my own. I can't rely on the Mandalorians to always come to my aid. And, you know, now I'm being faced with, you know, Force users and Jedis and stuff like that. Do I want to just kind of guns blazing and take everybody out and ask questions later kind of thing, or it's like, do I want to try and learn what I can, and if it gets to that point, you know, I can say without a doubt I was justified in my actions, where it's like right now I'm still kind of learning what everybody's about, you know.
Right.
Are these Jedi as evil as everybody say they are, and if not, you know, maybe something good can come out of it. But there is a possibility that, you know, after talking to Doc here about, you know, an integration into the clan and everything like that, that, you know, being out on my own, I can create my own clan if I want to.
Well, you have to prove that you are able to run a clan.
Right.
You know,
But
so there's a lot to it. But yeah, absolutely.
There's
I
that
mean,
possibility.
So is that something that Gatal has actually thought about, though, is the question.
At this point, not yet. Like I said, I'm still leery of people. Still, it's not like, hey, I don't trust this motherfucker, but if I start a clan, maybe he might get a spot. No, I'm not to that point yet. It's like, I have to get to a point where I can fully trust somebody to watch my back and vice versa kind of thing.
Right.
Before I can be like, you know, I can, in any kind of situation that, you know, we can come across an enemy and go toe to toe with the enemy, and we can kind of, in a sense, read each other without, you know, having to plan things out, and, you know, it's kind of should come like naturally for the group that, okay, you know, it's still, there's still development that needs to be done, but there's that possibility that at some later date that, you know, if that does sure that we can form our own clan and whatnot. But as of right now, I see
So
the way I'm seeing the Jedi is in my current state right now is that they are formidable, they're strong, but I have not seen necessarily evil tendencies come from them.
okay.
So it's everything that I've heard this
Now
far.
you're basing all of this off of one guy.
Yes, but the fact also too that I know the other party members that we have are Jedi or Force users or Force sensitives and whatnot, and we've come across a couple of other in doing our dealings
Now-
and stuff.
Now now Scout brought up a question, or well brought up a point about whether or not you and Bosny remember each other from the temple. I mean, you guys were both out on Jeddah, or not Jeddah. Yeah, Jeddah
Well,
during the order.
whether we remember each other or not, nobody's gonna know who I am unless it comes to feeling my Force.
And remembering your Force presence.
Right.
Which,
And that.
being younglings, you probably would be too young to understand what that is.
And I'm not gonna necessarily make it privy information of where I was at first too. It's like
You fucking told Chris he's gonna sell your ass to the next slave. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, have I told Chris
What?
of being me being a Padawan at one point? I never told him that I was a Padawan.
He can tell.
The fact that he can feel the Force.
No. See, that's something that you guys are failing to understand is that even though you guys never went through any formal type of training as a Padawan, it's very obvious that you understand the basics of meditation and centering that is the core of the instruction for a youngling. And you don't come from a culture that does that. Nor do
Even the Mandalorians never believed in like a battle meditation or anything like that.
not in the same sense. Not in the same sense.
Well, it's still, I'm not gonna be like, hey, look at me, I'm a Padawan turned Mandalorian,
Yeah, right. I understand that.
Not like standing up in a Padawan anonymous group and be like, I was once a Padawan.
Hi, my name is Gutal.
Yeah.
I have a problem.
But like
What's your problem? I kill people for money. Yet I grew up as a youngling at a temple. God, could you imagine? Hi, my name's Bosny and I have a problem. Hello, Bosny. What's your problem? I eat brains.
What?
But like we talked about before, you
My
and I.
problem is I eat brains. I don't consider that a problem, sir.
I can't control my consumption rate.
But as we
Is
talked.
that how y'all see it? Because I'll just go ahead and do that then if you want to see it.
But as you and I had talked about.
Are you getting offended over there?
If you're gonna bitch about my control, I'll just lose it on purpose.
Shut the fuck up.
Oh, Friday's gonna be fun.
But as we talked about before, of how cool would it be, we're talking about theory that one day, you and I, and how cool would it be that, to me, I thought of how cool would it be if I actually learned the ways of the Force and,
Became a Jedi like his father.
become a Jedi, but still feel strongly connected to my Mandalorian roots. Go back to Mandalore and
Create the first Mandalorian temple.
kind of create the first Mandalorian Jedi Order. It would be kind of cool that you'd have the Jedi and the Mandalorians together. Under one banner essentially. It's like.
I don't think you realize how terrified the rest of the galaxy would be over such a formation.
But I think it would be like
It's wait. The peacekeepers signed a treaty with the warmongers and they're working together? Oh shit.
But not all the Mandalorians are seen as like, you know, a warrior race, which they are. But if you look at the inner workings of the whole Mandalorian race and clan and everything like that, that they are farmers, they are engineers, and they are, you know, they have other jobs. They're not just all about warfare and destroying everything, you know.
No. They're all about warfare and destroying everything. They just realized that they can't do that without learning how to build their own bombs. Call a spade here, Cerberus.
They do have the potential for peace and whatnot. I mean,
Peace through purification.
oh my god. But you see how they are towards other races, though. They're not like, hey, you're a different race, I'm just gonna wipe you
No,
out.
because they're not the Empire.
But what I'm saying is like, they're tolerant of other groups, of other people, of other backgrounds.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was kind of the nature of the Mandalorians. You know, the first Mandalorians were actually a true species that enslaved other species, and through that enslavement would bring in these Arutise, these outsiders, into the fold. And eventually the Mandalorian race actually died out. I can't remember what the race was called.
Yeah, they
I don't think they were. I think they were just. I think they were human. And they just started calling
the original
themselves
Mandalorians
No,
were
the-
an alien race.
The original Mandalorians were an alien race. They kind of reminded me of like the Predator,
Yeah,
to be honest.
kind of like lizard-like people. I mean, yeah, they eventually, you know, had died out. Now it's a mixing pot.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and that's kind of how they survive. They pass their traditions on that way now.
But
There's no mention of them being a specific race. They were a mixed race group. They've always been, according to Wikipedia. Oh, never mind. There it is.
The Tong. The Tong species.
Okay, there it is.
Doubt my Star Wars knowledge.
No, I don't like the way some people present the knowledge. You present the history as it occurs, not hide the history at the bottom down the page.
Well, the problem is like people that are looking up Mandalorians are not looking up Mandalorians because they're interested in the origin point of the Mandalorians. They're looking at Mandalorians because of Baby Yoda. Fucking little hipster shits.
hey man, I like Baby Yoda.
It's not Baby Yoda, it's the child.
The kid. No.
It's a 50-year-old man that likes to be pushed around in a cart.
Well, I mean, that ain't too far from the truth here.
It's like walking out of episode 2 after Yoda fought Dooku, and the guy behind me, he's like, "You gotta be tripping. He don't need no cane."
Yeah, right. You know, that's Yoda's way of lulling people into a false sense of security. He's
It's
old.
because he likes to. It's because he likes to hit people.
Yeah.
He can hit them with a cane without anybody getting mad at him.
Now he's an old man. Man, you ain't seen that dude fight, bro. He ain't no old man. He is terrifying.
Well, look at it this way. He's probably channeling the Force, and the Force can do all sorts of different things. He's using it to keep himself, upright.
Right. Shut up.
Force cane. you know, not always.
So what are you saying? What are you saying? Yoda's really a Sith? He's
What happened to your stream?
what do you mean?
It's still running just fine.
Oh, but Twitch must have auto-updated.
I love how it's like what happened to my stream, like it's my fault. It's the first thing.
I'm just saying, I can't come back to my room and your stream is not playing.
And you don't immediately think about how bad your internet connection is first?
My internet connection's fantastic. It's Twitch updated. The Twitch browser that I use, the app updated.
Okay, well fine. Let me rephrase. How terrible of a computer you have that lags out on the stream all the time?
Okay, fine. I'm sorry.
So I was getting to the point of it's typical of a woman just to blame it on the guy. It's always the man's fault, you know.
I mean, essentially now is the
If you
Jedi.
could see the look I'm giving you.
I don't need to see it. I can feel it from 1,000 miles away.
Instead of making a regular traditional like Jedi order, it could be like the Gray Order.
So, bringing that up, that's something that
Forming our own sect now, are we?
bringing that up. We talked briefly about Kaya's initial want to reestablish the Jedi Order. What are your thoughts?
For my character right now?
No,
Or-
just in general. I'm sure Gutal doesn't have any thoughts towards the reestablishment of the Jedi Order. It's not really on his radar right
it's
now.
not one of his agendas. Yeah, I mean,
I think Gutal's main agenda is I want to go back home. This place is fucking bullshit. Baba Weir, these people are crazy. Please tell me it's okay to come home.
he doesn't like people enough. He's used to blowing them up and then that's it. It's like that's.
These people keep coming back from my missions. I don't understand.
I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how that would go about, creating a Jedi Order.
It just did not work out right. I didn't build it big enough. That's whatever, it'll work.
It'll be interesting to see how a Jedi Order would come about, especially with the mixed group that we have.
Yeah. I'm still curious as to how people are going to convince the remaining Jedi in the galaxy to come out of hiding.
Get the Mandalorian army on our side and call.
Well, so
No, I had a better idea. Is that we find people, we train them both as Jedi and Mandalorians. Imagine a group of Mandalorian commandos who are communicating by the Force and are building silently and just clean it out.
fuck your meld. Fuck your meld. No.
I was thinking it's call it the I can't find the word for sword in Mandalorian.
Sword?
Yeah, here it is, COD. KAD. So the Beskar COD. Or Beskar Cade, depending on how you
Cade.
pronounce it.
It'd be best arcade.
Yeah. You know, not anything scary or anything for anybody. You know, you talk about forming your own clan, you know.
Possible, right? Not yet. It's not there yet. Like I said,
You sitting at the back with with a superior battle meditation, basically controlling the whole fight.
but it would be interesting though if we did, like I said, you know.
Thank you for giving me my first target, ladies and gentlemen.
What's that?
First PC to die.
At the back with battle meditation.
You're gonna sit there and kill me?
And also the hardest person to kill.
Who's the hardest person to kill?
The guy doing the battle meditation.
Because he's locked onto the minds of everybody in the battle. Or most of, you know, a general feel, so if you try to hit him, he's gonna feel you aiming at him. And those people usually are powerful enough with the Force, they've got more tricks than battle meditation to do.
Oh yeah. So I already told Scout, but Nighthawk is looking to rejoin the campaign since we switched over to Friday nights.
Uh-huh.
And our offspring, I don't even remember what people were calling him when he used to work at our store, is looking to join the campaign as well.
Who? Oh, yeah. So what are they? They're looking to come in on this.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be interesting.
So Nighthawk is just revitalizing his old character, just without the Force sensitivity this time around,
And with the perception skill.
and with the perception skill. He's leveled up to level 4, and he picked up the feat that allowed him to pick 2 more skills, and he's like, perception. Now y'all can't make fun of me. I should have told him I needed him to roll D percentiles to determine whether or not he managed to survive to level 4 with no perception.
Thermal detonator, and he just like kind of strolls up into it.
What? I didn't see it there. We called it out. Time is it? Oh, it's been 3 hours. One, 2, 3, 4 more. I could probably fit all 4 of these on a single page. But I'm gonna call it here because it is 3 hours into the stream. I need to put something in my stomach and go to bed.
What time are we gonna start tomorrow?
So I figured we'd try and do a start time around 4 or 5 ish.
Okay.
I will be home after 9 in the morning, so feel free to head over whenever you want. If you want to get here a few hours early to kind of fight the
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
traffic, you know, you're more than welcome.
Maybe get over there about 2.
That's fine. Like I said, I probably,
Okay, I'll break.
if anything, I'm gonna pass out for a few hours when I get home, and then just ride the rest of the day out, you know. And we'll start around like 4 or 5, so you can get some sleep during the day.
Oh man, I'm off tomorrow.
You gotta work Saturday morning.
Yeah, at 1.
in the morning, and if we're starting at 5 in the afternoon.
But I'm just saying, I'm gonna be sleeping all like.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is it's like that way you can just sleep in, and we'll wake you. You know, if you wake up at 2 o'clock or whatever, it's not going to kill you to, you know, to pull the shift. Well, actually, that might, because Ray doesn't relieve you until fucking 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But even so, you can sleep most of the day. We'll get you up before the campaign.
Yeah.
You know, so. But yeah, so I mean, you can head over whenever, and you know we can get everything set up, and you know if you come over and end up waking me up or whatever, that'll give me a few more hours to work on some more of this stuff while we chat and hang out, and then roll into the game. I'm looking forward to introducing one of the new players tomorrow. He
Okay, do we need character sheet?
No, I've already got him character sheets. You know, his shit. We built his shit last night at work. His shit is he's already all the way leveled up. He's picked all his stuff out. He went home to pick up his last feat or skill points and then or attribute points, and then pick out his tech powers.
Okay.
He's a scout.
Yeah.
He's a
No,
Kimbo.
look, stop. Just stop. We gotta rename that class. I'm scared.
He's a Pathfinder.
There we go.
He's a Pathfinder, like you, but he's a Kimbo for dual blaster pistols.
What's his background?
Soldier.
I mean, or so what is he doing? I mean, what is he going around the galaxy doing?
Working for Corsac.
Oh.
As soon as he was like, I asked him, I was like, what do you want to, like, your background to be, like, military, you know, and I'm going through all these different, like, possible backgrounds. He's like, military, and I'm like, oh God, how many militaries are actually in the galaxy right now? Well, Corsac is a militarized
force.
well, but they're a militarized police
Yeah.
force. You know,
Yeah,
so there's Corsac, there's
The Empire.
the Empire, there's
Well, most of the planets have something of a military, not very powerful,
right, but not very powerful, and
but
so
they do inter-system policing and such like that. Like
right.
Corsac.
But so I was like, I mean, well, what species do you want to be? And he's like, oh, I don't know. So we're going through the species list, and you know, I was like, well, I mean, you know, push comes to shove, you're a new player, you know, you can be human. He's like, yeah, I'll do human, and I'm like, all right, shit, okay, what are we gonna do for your background? So soldier. So how old are you? And he goes, 26. My motherfucker, this dude was there for the fucking Clone Wars. He was 16 when Order 66 happened. I'm like, shit.
Same age everybody else.
Huh?
The same as all the rest of the party.
I think he's a little bit older than
He's
that.
a little older than you guys.
Oh.
We were all
Oh, he's
Padawans.
the same age as my character.
He's the same age as your character. Everybody
Okay,
else,
the
like
other
Bosnia and
characters are 10 years
Bosnia and Gatal were like 8. You know, they're
Yeah.
18 now, you know. So, I mean, he's like 26. So he was there for the Clone Wars, you know. So, at 16, when Order 66 happened, he was probably already in the Corsac Academy at that point, you know. And so, fucking.
That means I might know his character. I might know his character.
It's very possible. You know, it is absolutely very possible. I mean, could you just imagine? He walks up to the party, places a blaster pistol against against Kai, and goes, "Horn said to say hello," and pulls the trigger.
Yeah, but he wouldn't like it when I broke his arm.
No.
As I sit there
Or
and
cut his arm off, depending on whether I reach for for my hand or my blade at that close quarters.
So we've set him up to where he gets, if he surprises an enemy, he gets 3 attacks.
He chose the equivalent of the Gloomstalker.
Yeah, yeah.
So the first round, if he surprises, he gets an extra attack.
Yep. And he's a Kimbo,
Yeah.
so he's gonna be
Dual weapon. He's
nasty.
He's a glass cannon, all one shot.
He's nasty though, man. We picked
Yeah,
the feat I told him he should pick up was medium, moderately armored, so he could toss on the medium armor, get a better AC, and negate the disadvantage to stealth.
You didn't consider telling him to get a Kimbo Mastery?
Well, I didn't think about it, to be honest.
Yeah, because you get the masteries with the feat.
Oh,
I don't know Kimbo. I haven't read that one so much to know exactly
if it's
what
worth it or not.
because
Yeah.
I think it gives you the full quick draw with 2 weapons and probably power attack within the short range. It's easy enough to get later though.
I stole that earlier. Sorry.
Why you start?
So the way you design the ship, it's a dual. Dual level.
It's got another like cargo hole.
The cargo holds on the bottom. Okay, yeah, that's what Scout and I were thinking. So.
And then I can never do all this and everything again.
Yeah, because I need to start putting up a floor plan for it, so you guys.
Well, we also talked about changing it too for the weaponry on the ship and everything.
Because eventually there's going to come that time where, there will be moments where boardings and shit like that, or you're bringing somebody on board and you kind of have to know your placements or whatever in case something happens. Kind of like the situation we were in with the girl for that meeting, They can't, I don't even know what else fell down.
Yeah, he's gonna need to get a Kimbo Mastery is most excellent.
Okay.
Because it lets you forgo your proficiency bonus to get another attack.
Oh. Oh no.
And of course, it gives you the free reload on 2 weapons at once.
Yeah. Oh, him picking up a Kimbo, period, made it to where reloading for him doesn't require hands, a free hand.
Yeah, but you still have to spend. You still have to spend 2 either 2 bonus actions to reload both weapons. I mean, with regular blaster pistols, the clip's like 20 shots.
Right.
So it's not that big a deal. He's probably not going to run out of shots.
Right.
But if you give him some sort of exotic weapon that only has limited shots, it might become an issue.
Right.
But no, it's not something we have in the party. The short range.
Yeah, short range
The blaster combat, the gunslinger type build.
Yeah.
It gives us 1 long range, 1 medium range, two melee range fighters. And then you throw Chris in at the 2nd long range.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right. Well, so that's gonna be it for today. I'm gonna go ahead and cut stream here. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for the help. We ended up getting the formula down for galactic travel. So we'll actually have accurate travel times for you guys when moving, so it'll help you better plan your downtime while on the ship. So tune in tomorrow. It won't be an early morning stream like normal. We'll be doing a late night stream, and we'll be doing our Star Wars campaign to see how it works out. So thanks for hanging, and look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow.